What up, everybody? Big Herc916 and my man Jeff Brown. You already know what that means. I ain't even got to tell y'all. Who do we have here today, Jeff?
Mr. Shant Mesophagy. The cat we're talking about today is not just a guy who makes cars better, not just a guy who collects cars. This cat has a time capsule, a perfect time capsule of the late 80s, early 90s cars.
This place, it just blows my mind. I could be here all day listening to your stories, man.
Definitely. First of all, I want to thank you guys. I appreciate you guys coming to talk to me, and you guys are always welcome to my home. You know how that works.
Good thing. What a pain in the ass to come down here with all these raggedy ass cars. It's killing me. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, man. Well, the way I got into cars, man, it's always been in my family, in my blood. My uncle was a race car driver, a stock car driver in the 70s, and both him and my younger uncle, they came down here to the United States in the early 70s, and they wanted basically to be part of the automotive culture. My uncle bought a 442 Oldsmobile in 72, and they drove it down to California, came to Los Angeles. They opened up their first body shop, and the rest is history. They just started working on cars, fixing, restoration, etc. Me growing up, I've always been around cars. I worked on cars. My brothers have worked on cars. My dad worked on cars. We basically just started out at home doing our own restoration. In the summers, I used to go to my uncle's shop, help him out. So, it was kind of part of my DNA in a sense. And I truly enjoy what I do. It's a passion of mine. It gets to a point sometimes in your life where you think, okay, am I doing this for the money? Am I doing this because I got nothing else going for me? Or am I doing this because I'm passionate about it? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly why I did it. It's just, I love it, man.
All the cars you have are all the cars I freaking love. Like I love the notchback Mustang. I love the wide body Mustang. I love the 560 convertible. And they just happen to be worth a lot of money. But how did you come across those cars, and was that on purpose?
The way I came across these cars, I love all types of cars, shapes, colors, styles, the whole nine. But growing up, and this is going way back, when I was 4 or 5 years old, I used to go to work with my mom in the summers. And my parents were working class, hardworking people. And till this day, I go visit them, and they're out doing something. It's just the way they are. So we had one family car. My dad used to take that to work, and my mom and me used to take the bus. She worked at Beverly Hills at the time, so we used to commute with the bus from the Valley to Beverly Hills. And every week, I had $1 allowance to go buy one car from Toys R Us. Either I could buy 2 cheap ones for 50 cents or buy the nice 98-cent Hot Wheels.
Right.
So every week, that was my treat. So I used to take these cars with me when I used to go to work with her as we're driving in the bus, and I used to hold the car literally from the window and pretend like I'm driving. So growing up as a kid and watching all these cars from the bus window, AMGs, Porsches, BMWs, Ferraris, the whole nine, it's just, I used to sit there and stare at these cars like they're spaceships. So when I used to go to Toys R Us to buy my toy, I used to want to buy that Mercedes or that Porsche. I used to look on the shelves, and I still own those cars. That's actually the first box of toys I ever got in the original case.
Wow.
And I used to keep them pristine, clean them up, put them back in the case. So growing up, this is what I saw. And they weren't our cars, but they were cars that I used to see. And then, you had the shows like Miami Vice. Yep. You had all these Spencer for Hire. Yep. He used to have that 635 with the BBS style wheel.
Yes. Man Called Hawk.
So, and you look at these shows, And by the way, I love the bad guys. They all had like the hot girls,
Bad
the hot cars.
Right.
Like, you know,
The bad guys
the
live
bad
great.
guys, the bad guys had it all, right? So I used to look at these cars and be like, wow, like I want one. You know, when I grow up, this is what I want. So when, of course, I got to an age where, you know, I started to work and save money, I slowly started to collect parts, and I used to go to wrecking yards. You know, back in the day, you know, 15, 20 years ago, AMG Mercedes, or you used to see them at pick apart, just thrown.
Yes.
Nobody wanted them. I used to see like AMG wheels, Lorenzer wheels,
Just laying in the
laying at the
junkyard.
junkyard. So I started collecting these over the years because I knew this is going to come back around. It's just too nice.
Exactly.
If people were spending thousands and thousands of dollars on this stuff in the 80s, how is it just thrown in the junkyard now? It's got to come back around. So that's how I kind of started. You know, I started looking for cars that were already done, complete disasters, restoration. So I slowly started to gather them, fix them up, put them aside. I used to sell them. You know, it was kind of like a hobby for me while I was running the business. Then it got to a point where, you know, I started to get real passionate about, especially like the pre-merger AMG stuff, you know, and nobody cared about it. Nobody really, you know, paid attention to it. But I collected out of passion. I didn't collect out of investment. I never said to myself, this is going to be worth a ton of money in the future. I bought things that I loved and that were special to me. It could have been the certain smell in the car that reminded me as a kid. It could have been a certain car that I remember that was embedded in my mind as a kid that I saw, that I said, this is what I want when I grow up. So that's how I kind of started collecting. One car led to two to three. Now I'm up to like almost 70 cars in my collection.
Damn.
All the cars that I have, they do have something special that attracted me to them. My passion, of course, is Mercedes, pre-merger AMG, all the 80s tuners, Gambala, AMG, Lorenzer, Richard Strawman. You know, these are the cars that really interested, and I was interested in having in my collection. And the rest is history, man.
I know we were talking, you know, off camera about the 80s, man, and about how, you know, you've seen certain people with these cars back then, whether it's, I remember, what is the Porsche DP, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Or, like you said, the Strosik or the Gambala.
The Rough.
Or
The
the
Rough.
Rough. Or, you know, the Koenig, you know, Ferrari.
Yeah.
I mean, these cars were, you know, I used to look in like Motor Trend and little magazines and be like, man, and it's like, you knew that these guys were real dudes. These were hitters. It wasn't just like fly-by-night dudes who can go pick these cars up. These guys had a lot of money. They drove the shit out of these cars. And it was a symbolism of that time to me, like, you're at the top of the game. You know, if you see a dude in a Gambala, you're like, God, this dude, he don't just have a Porsche, he has a Gambala, or he has a, you know, the Strawman version of this car that came in the heart. They didn't even make that in a convertible.
Right.
So I used to search out those cars too and be like, man, one day I'm going to get a Strawman. One day I'm going to have a 560 SEC Hammer. To see you have a lot of these 80s cars, it brings back so many memories because, you know, not to get off top of it, I mean, I looked at all the drug dealers in my neighborhood and they all were, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they all had the hot stuff. And that's what it was. Like, you know, the 80s and 90s, there was so much money out there that they wanted the next thing above the 560, the V12, you know, the best Mercedes, the Porsche. They wanted something over and beyond. You know, like one of my cars that's like the epitome of 80s drug dealer money, or I should say disposable money, is the Gullwing SEC that I have. I have two of them. And they only made 57 of them. The company that made it was out of Germany called SGS Styling Garage. Chris Hahn, the CEO owner, he's a friend of mine. We communicate. And, you know, I asked him when I bought my first one, I asked him, I said, what led you to take a SEC that's perfection, was the top of its game back in the 80s, being the pillarless coupe flagship of Mercedes? What made you take a pillarless coupe and turn it into a Gullwing? he said simply because people wanted more than what Mercedes had to offer, what AMG had to offer.
Wow.
Wide body, I mean, Hammer, whatever you can think of, people wanted more. So he goes, we took the best coupe at the time, the SEC, and we constructed a frame and made it a going like a DeLorean, which completely blew everything else out of the water. So now you have your guys in your AMGs, your Lorenzers, your wide body cars, your, you name it, Richard Strawman, convertible, the whole nine. I got 6 Richard Strawman convertible SECs. I got 1 SGS convertible, which is ultra rare. These are the same guys that did the going. And he said when we introduced this going, it just destroyed everything else out there. Completely.
Right.
It was like, oh my God.
Right.
You can't imagine.
You might as well have drove a bus. You might as well rode the bus.
Just go home.
Right,
Go
just
home.
go
It's
home.
done. So he goes,
What were people paying back then for that? It had to be,
So-
goddamn, you had to be a super baller.
so my
man.
car in 1984, done through SGS, sold for $185,000.
Right.
God.
That was the price on the car.
84 money. That's
In
crazy.
84. This is, the car, the modification. It has a AMG kit, the AMG Penta wheels, Recaro white leather seats.
Wow.
All the stereo system, the equalizers, the whole nine. And he goes, we used to get orders, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, there's, he goes, we used to send them 2 at a time, 3 at a time.
Wow.
He goes, at 57, we kind of stopped production. The States, and don't hold me to this, I think they got like 8 or 10 of them only at the States. I own 2 of them. There's 1 more in Miami. There's a few more floating around. But I found my car in Palm Springs. I was chasing this car down for many years. At the time, he was kind of like, wasn't sure if he wanted to sell it or not. And I ended up, we became friends. We kept contact. And then one day he said, I'm getting ready to sell it. And boom, I was there in a heartbeat. So I bring this car home, and I have a friend of mine. His name is Ace. Great guy. He's been collecting Mercedes parts for many years. He lives in Inglewood. He's got a warehouse full of older Mercedes parts that I usually contact. I mean, we became buddies now. So, and this guy knows everything about Mercedes. I mean, you ask him anything about Mercedes, he knows it. And I said, Ace, come over to the back. I want to show you something special. So I take him over to the back, pulled the covers off. I said, take a look at this, man. He goes, damn, where'd you get that? I said, well, this and this and this. He goes, that's an SGS convertible. I said, I bet you never seen one of these. He goes, oh, yeah, I have. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I've seen them. I said, when did you see one? He goes, I have one.
Oh,
Wow.
I said, what? I said, you own an SGS going SEC? He goes, yep. I said, why haven't you told me about it? He goes, well, you never asked.
Oh, wow.
I said, where's the car? He goes, it's at my house in Inglewood. It's right here. I said, you got to be kidding me. I closed the shop down. I said, let's go. I want to see this thing. So sure enough, went over there. He opens the garage, and there it is, man. Another SGS.
Oh, my God.
So you got that one too?
So I said, well, I'm buying this one too. I said, I'm not leaving till I buy this car.
Right.
And I ended up buying that one as well.
Wow, man.
So-
2 gold. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's an 85. It's one of the last series they made.
Mm-hmm.
So the doors are hydraulic. You press the button, it goes up hydraulically. Just that one needs restoration. But I mean, you look at these cars. I mean, I take it to dinner with my wife, and I don't, I don't care where I go. I park the car, pop the doors open, it's done.
You can't pick your nose.
No,
in
it's
that thing.
a wrap.
I mean, I don't care what you pull up in. This thing's gonna cost so much attention. It's unbelievable, and the car is just built unbelievably amazing.
Handmade cars or the best mass-produced cars in the world
Yeah,
turned over to people who hand make cars.
yeah.
That's what that represents.
And I also have a Koenig SEC, and you look at the wide body, how flamboyant, how out there. I mean, you got 13.
You got a Koenig SEC too?
Yeah, and it's just unbelievable. You look at the car till today, and it's just so empowering. It just grabs you. You know what I mean? And you think about this car back in 1985
How
when
that
it
looked
was
on the road.
new
Oh
on the
my
road.
God.
Like it's like a spaceship.
It's like a spaceship.
It's almost like, remember, because they put a Koenig on a Ferrari, but I remember the Koenig Jag. And when you
I
see
have one
that,
too. I got a Koenig Jag.
come on, yeah,
I got a
man,
Koenig SEC.
This is getting out of control right here, man.
You know what this guy
This dude has every car that I used to drool over in my little.
Everyone. You know what Sean has that he won't be honest about? A hole in time that he's going by.
Yeah, literally.
Look at these cars. These
Yeah.
cars.
Oh,
his
man.
cars look like 1980 whatever. They
Yeah.
look like all
Dude,
his cars look like they would have if somebody gave them to.
Now, don't tell me you have a Koenig 928.
That I don't. I was getting this close to
I'm about
buying
to
one.
say, man, you got to get. I'm gonna have to buy that from you.
I was gonna show you the one that I wanted. I couldn't get to it in time, but what a beautiful example! It's sold in Miami. There's some guys out there, RMC Miami, that have some beautiful cars that they do. Again, they're into this whole 80s, 90s time capsule.
Wow.
So they had a red 928 wide body on Barrett wheels. Just
Corvettes.
gorgeous car, but I couldn't get to it. But the 928 that I want is made by SGS. They made one with a wide body kit with gullwing doors.
I've seen that
I've
with
seen that
pictures.
one.
That's the
I've
one I
never
want.
seen it in
There's
person.
one
Yes.
floating around in Japan somewhere, which I'm chasing.
Red.
It's black with
Okay.
red interior. Unbelievable car.
That's my all-time favorite, man.
Yeah.
Ever since when first off Risky Business and then Scarface when he went in a dealership. Remember, he's
that's-
like, give me
I
this
like
one.
it. I like it. Give me one of
yeah,
these.
yeah,
One of these. I like it.
yeah.
You know, that was the hot car back then. That
Yeah.
was 928.
Yeah. So Sean, what would be considered pre-AMG Mercedes merger? What years would that be?
So AMG was its own entity, and they were basically taking these cars and they were customizing them. AMG also had a division in Japan where they worked on a lot of Mitsubishi cars. Like they have a Mitsubishi Galant, which is tuned by AMG, and it was basically aerodynamics, wheels, suspension, engine, interior, kind of like a couture build. You can kind of build the car accordingly to what you want as a checklist. In the 80s and 90s, they were kind of at their peak in what they were doing. And they built some phenomenal cars that were breaking records, whether it was with speed, with performance, etc. Looks very, very sexy, very functional aerodynamics. Till today, I think they have one of the most beautiful wheel selections that were just simple and effective.
Sure.
Offsets, rivets, two-piece, three-piece, etc. So AMG was doing very well in what they were putting together. Mercedes kind of saw what was going on, and they saw that, okay, this is becoming very attractive. See, Mercedes was always known for that luxury car, that car meant for the person in a suit and a tie. It never had the sports car appeal. The sportiest car they had was probably the SL Mercedes, which was the two-door roadster, hardtop, soft-top car. But still, it was a very cushy, comfortable wood, leather, you know. So AMG basically took that and they gave it the performance factor. They made it more aggressive on suspension, handling, wheels, looks, etc. And Mercedes saw that there's something there. So they merged in 1995. The first car that they actually built together was the C36 Mercedes. So what pre-merger means is all cars that were built before the merger.
Okay.
And to me, that's when AMG was AMG. That's when they really took it seriously in what they do. Nowadays, AMG is a joke. You know.
What about Rentec?
So Rentec was an employee of AMG. So Rentec kind of branched off on his own and did his own thing. Again, very talented people, very knowledgeable of what he's doing, and very performance driven. Aerodynamics wise, they don't really have much. It's mainly just the performance factor of it. Very popular tuner through the 90s up until, you know, to date. They built Rentec cars. But these people like Rentec and a few others, these were all employees of AMG at the time that kind of branched off on their own, because once Mercedes came into the game in '95, they completely changed the way AMG does business. And that's when those old timers kind of, went off on their own.
What are some of the changes when you say you don't like it now? Like, how so?
So, to me, what AMG used to stand for is pure performance. It was truly meant for someone that wants a special Mercedes-Benz. It wasn't a marketing tool. It wasn't meant to mass produce and sell and lease however many cars they can. So if you were a true enthusiast that loved Mercedes but just wanted a performance level of Mercedes, you went to AMG.
Right.
And nowadays, the difference is there's certain models that still stick to their roots. But now, everything that you see out there, C-Class, A-Class, B-Class, has an AMG tag on it, and they're labeling it AMG. But to me, it's not about a chrome little decal that says AMG.
It used to be about more than decals and key rings.
It's exactly. It's supposed to be about a true performance vehicle, a car meant for an enthusiast. And if they had kept it, if they kept their roots, I'm sure they would sell just as many cars to the right person that wants that performance, that wants the looks, wants the leather trim, wants the exhaust, wants the special wheels, and that's why I think that now it's just become a mass-produced. It's a numbers game. How many cars can we sell?
Right. You have all the cars that I used to take a razor blade and cut out a European car magazine.
And that's exactly what I used to do. I used to literally have a collage of all the cars I want and all the cars that I like. I still have the magazines that I used to buy when I was a kid. And sometimes I flip through them and I see, I'm pretty sure, like Automobile Magazine, the back end of it had like a classified section.
Rob Report.
Report. I got stacks of Rob Reports. And the reason why I keep that is because it's great for research, and I might run across a car that was sold one time in the States. So it's always good to have as a reference. But my goal was to collect all the tuner cars of the 80s. Like with Mercedes, I have a bunch of AMG pre-merger cars, 3 of them which are wide body, Zender wide body SEC, Koenig wide body SEC, and with these cars, it's like their imagination when they were building these cars was like completely out there.
Yeah, it was limitless.
Anything goes, limitless.
Sure.
And that's kind of what I like. I don't like having limits.
What do you think about the Black Series?
Black Series is probably one of the only true AMG cars I feel that are AMG.
That's what I think too. The Black Series is different.
Just any of the Black Series cars is what AMG used to stand for.
Yes.
Wide body, performance, brakes, wheels, interior, just the works. That's what an AMG should be.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Black Series cars is the 211 chassis, the CLK.
Yeah.
Black Series.
Yeah, Black Series. I like those too.
And it's just, out of the box.
Yeah.
It's a factory race car.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that Hammer, pillarless coupe, wide body, big motor.
Yes.
That's what it was about.
So for somebody out there looking to have work done on their car and find somebody of your caliber to get work done, what kind of advice could you give them? Because man, every car I've had to do twice, just because certain guys say they can do this and maybe the shop looks like this, but you find out later on when you take it to another shop that this guy did this weld wrong, your brake lines aren't done right, or this is done janky.
You find out why you got the deal.
Yeah, and it wasn't. Sometimes it's not even a deal. I've been at nice shops and it's like, oh, $800. I'm like, what'd you do? Well, we connected those wires. So it's like, how do you avoid a lot of these pitfalls? Because a lot of people we talked about before spend a lot of money and thinking just because you spend a lot of money, dude, you're getting ripped off. This ain't even. You're not paying for what you're getting.
It's very hard to judge nowadays because everybody wants to be something they're not, and they always you say you go look at the work they did, you go look at some cars that they've built to kind of get an idea of what they do, but those old school guys, those guys that have been in the game for years, those are the guys that know what they're doing. And this is the mistake people make. They automatically go to the price house. They automatically go to the person that's doing it the cheapest. And that specifically, if you're looking for that specifically, sometimes you're gonna fail, you know. And I tell all my clients, listen, I'm not the cheapest guy in town. I'm reasonable, but I'll give you what you want. And guess what? If I screw up, I'll fix it. If I do something wrong, I'll correct it. But we've been in business for 41 years, family business, and I've seen it all. We've been through it all. You've experienced it all. But again, every day you learn something new. And the best advice that I have is referral. Go to someone that's been there before, that's experienced the service, the quality, and what you get, and you won't be disappointed.
How realistic is a lot of times what people see on TV? Because I watch a lot of stuff and I'm looking like, come on, man, you got to be kidding me. When people are pricing out bills or they're saying you can get this done for this price, and then you have a show where, oh man, this is a $250,000 bill, and I'm looking underneath.
That we did in a week.
Well, yeah. Or even if he did it, took a year, but he's like, he's got leaf springs and drums in the back, but you spend come on, buddy.
What you see on TV is purely entertainment, man. I've seen car builders. There's many out there that are amazing, and many of them that are out of the spotlight. These people work at home in their garage, highly talented cats. But these people that are on the TV tube, you see the work they do. You can't take something out of the shithole and give it back to the guy in 7 days and have him tear up like, oh, it doesn't work. Oh my God. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Now what about a custom build?
Custom build, man, there's really no time limit depending on what you want. I mean, we've done custom builds that have taken up to 2 years.
Okay.
Because again, it's a pure art form. And believe it or not, it's true. There's days you feel like working on the car and days you don't. Yeah. That's just the reality.
And you're not making donuts. You don't get into taking apart a car if you're concerned about the fact that, damn, the rubber is going to cost me $4,000. Yeah. This stuff's not cheap. It's not a cheap hobby.
You're absolutely right.
Would you now? Let's just say I wanted a white 560 SEC convertible with a honey leather interior, and I was looking for one. Am I better off finding a rough SEC and bringing it to you, or should I just wait for that car? Maybe I happen upon somebody who has a whole bunch of cars, so he may not be that attached to that one because he has a menagerie of them. What would you say?
So it depends on your build. See, all my cars, they're completely period correct, all with original AMG, original
right,
Lorenzer, Zender, etc. I scour
the
earth for these parts.
This is a two-part question. One, what has been the hardest part you've ever found? And two, where is it that you find most of your parts? And I guess three, where is a place that surprised you? Like, really? They had this in Turkey? Okay.
Honestly, the hardest part that I found was probably, I have a brand new, unused SEC full wide body kit for an SEC that's just absolutely brand new, never been installed, never touched. The quarter panels are steel with the AMG stamps, the whole nine. Wow. I found several sets, like ones from Russia. I found some in, everywhere, just gathered pieces. This particular kit I found in Germany. It was sitting in someone's garage and in the boxes, just completely untouched. That was probably, I'm not going to say the hardest because it wasn't hard. It was kind of brought to my attention that these are parts, but contacting the person, communicating with the person, getting the parts over here in its original packaging and boxing, that was the most difficult part because I didn't want to damage anything. Mm-hmm. Now I'll probably never install that kit on a car because I haven't heard of anybody else that has everything: bumpers, side skirts,
Wow.
front lip, rear lip, quarter panel, fenders, the cladding, the whole kit.
Do you know where I think that would, and I don't know if you'll ever do it, but imagine like a big warehouse, all your cars, suspended above it in mathematically exactly where it would go on the car, 15 feet in the air hanging from the ceiling are all those parts.
So what I want to do with that, and that's funny you say that, there was an ad back in the 80s, an AMG ad, where they took the body kit, the wheels, the suspension, the two Recaro seats, and they kind of made it kind
I've
of
seen
like
that before.
Yeah, I
The
remember that.
magazine,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's-
picture.
so I
yeah,
would want to
without the car.
I
yeah.
would want to everything but
Without
the
the
car.
car. Yeah, I've seen that.
Every
I've seen
single
that. Yeah,
part that
yeah.
they offered was
But the car, right?
but the car,
Yeah.
and that's what I was thinking, and I'm like, that would be cool, man, if I just put it in a glass case,
Yeah.
like, in
Oh,
the middle
that'd
of
be
my
sick.
bed.
that'd be
oh
sick.
man, that'd be so
That'd be
sick.
sick.
Paint
Yeah.
it, clean it up really
Yeah,
nice,
yeah.
or even leave it like raw fiber, and just kind of put them on some sort of
Pedestals.
pedestals
Yeah.
with the rims and the suspension, the head,
Mathematically, right where they
just
go.
right on the money, and,
Yeah.
and do something like that.
That'd be sick.
That would be so
That'd be
sick.
pretty nice.
That would be so
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
Well, dude, let's go look at some cars.
Hey, let's go do it.
So, Shant, this is one that you actually did all the work to, or
Correct.
refurbished. Now, what condition was it in when you found it, and exactly what all did you do?
So the car was already a convertible by Richard Strawman, but
Okay.
it was pretty much a bone stock, white on Palomino SEC with a black top.
Okay.
The owner of the car kept it really nice. Mechanically, it was all intact, but the car was originally an East Coast car. It actually came from the Hamptons, and it was their summer car. So with the weather and the salt water in there, it the interior, the wood, the paint was kind of was aged. But the car was all there. It was complete. Everything was functioning. And that's when I acquired the car. And when I acquired the car, it was originally two tones. It was white, and the bottom of the cladding was like a light gray.
A light gray, yeah.
That's kind of how they came with the
Yeah.
Palomino. And when it was fitted with the AMG kit, they completely body matched all the spoilers and cladding. So what I did to the car was the complete interior, redid it in the Recaro Classic leather wrap dash, redid all the wood, all the electronics,
Wow.
brand new top, suede with brand new canvas top. The body kit's completely period correct to 87. The wheels are completely period correct to 87. Everything's date coded, and there's a lot of kits out there that are fiberglass, rubber. I mean, this is the real deal. And you can see all the AMG stamping, the part numbers, date codes, everything's on
Right.
there.
Now, this is a urethane kit, right?
This is a urethane kit.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what makes this ultra rare as far as the body kit, if you look at the bumpers, these are Euro bumpers, but for the Series 2 cars.
Okay.
So Series 1, you got from 81 to 85. They came American, or they came the Euro bumpers, which are real small.
Smaller.
So
right.
from 86 to 91, Euro cars came with this bumper, which is about 3/4 of an inch longer than the Euro. So it's basically in between the Euro bumper and the US bumper, which is period correct for the 560. These bumpers are impossible to find unless you
Right.
have a connection somewhere overseas, because these cars aren't on the road anymore. And when people look at the car, they know something's different. They know it's got the Euro bumpers, but it's not the American bumpers, but it's somewhere in between. And that's what makes it special. So if you look at it from a glimpse, it just, the whole car just sits right with the bumpers, the body kit, the stance, the wheels, the offset. That's why I tell people, like, what I do and what I love doing is things in this caliber where it's truly special. Anybody can, you can go buy a brand new car, put a brand new body kit and brand new wheels on it and lower it and do this, but it's not going to be this.
No.
Period.
No. This is the granddaddy.
So you remember the last time you see one of these, you probably never have.
No. Yeah, that's it.
It's very hard to find something within this caliber, within this age. You got a lot of nice stuff out there. Look, you got Corniche convertibles. You got, all these Jaguar convertibles, all these nice cars, but to find something of this caliber, it's virtually impossible.
How does it feel?
Feels amazing.
You have to go for a drive.
It truly feels amazing. And
Well, I don't believe you.
well, we're gonna go.
I guess we're gonna have to go
We're
there.
gonna go for a ride.
I guess we'll have to go for a ride
We're gonna
then.
go for a ride. So, one thing that I will tell you about this car is sometimes it's very hard to see through the windshield because you got like girls throwing their panties at you.
Now, with regard to, let's just say that I came to you with $85,000. Is that what it would take, maybe, to reproduce what we're sitting in? And what am I looking at?
I'm sure we can make it happen with that budget, including the car. You know, we would definitely have to source. If you do want the convertible, we would have to source a Richard Strawman car that's in decent shape, enough for us to restore. You know, you get things into like rust, you have things in bodywork, etc. But generally speaking, like there's different grades of leather you can go with.
Sure.
There's different grades of audio equipment. You know, rims and body kit's a standard. You know, you want to go with AMG, you got one choice. But, you know, you can go with Italian leather, German leather, double stitched. If you want leather wrapped door panels, you want a leather wrapped dash. You know, the finishings in the wood. You know, this is a walnut. There's burl wood. There's zebrano
Zebra,
wood. So there's many variations of levels of restoration on it.
Sure.
So, look, Jeff. So, how was that ride with Shant, man? How was that ride, man?
I'm getting it. Hold on, let me step over here so I can hear you.
You got reception?
I got reception now. That ride was fantastic, dude. It's a time capsule. I mean, to be honest with you, I felt like I should have been talking on a brick phone. It was amazing. It was unbelievable. Hold on, I got one coming in. Hold on.
You got another call?
I had a call. Hold on. Hey. What you mean you lost 2 keys? Excuse me. 2 keys? How did you lose the garage key and the front door key? Put your mom on the phone.